For my science fair project, I did an experiment to see what colors baby chicks prefer to eat from. In my project, I used these 5 pieces of colored paper, a measuring cup, chicken food, and 7 baby chicks. We decided to put a tablespoon of food on each piece of colored paper, since there's 5 of them, and that was plenty of food for 7 chickens. The food I used is just normal baby chicken food that you can get from the feed store. Here's 6 of the baby chicks I used. We used 7 in the project, but on the last day a hawk swooped down and got one. First step I did for this project is I took the food out of the chicken's coop at 12 and let them sit in there for an hour. The second step is during that hour that the chickens are in their coop, I scooped 1 tablespoon of the same type of food onto 5 different colored pieces of squared paper. The third step is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon you place all 5 pieces of paper down at the same time in the pen, creating a circle. Then you put all the chicks into the coop. For the fourth step, you examine the activity of the chicks for 15 minutes, and then you put their food back in the pen until 5 p.m. The last step is at 5 p.m. you take their food out of their coop, you wait an hour, and at 6 you put new pieces of paper down with new food on it, and examine their activity for another 15 minutes. Then you monitor the baby chicks' activity for 15 minutes. One problem I found is that the chicks like to jump on the paper or scratch the food off of it and they spill it into the pen. Another problem I ran into is that we started with 7 chicks, but then a hawk grabbed one and now we only have 6. The problem with the chicks scratching their food and like hopping on the paper and spilling it into the pen is bad because we stick them in there for an hour without food to get them hungry, and then when we go and like set the paper down all at the same time, they have already eaten like the food off the ground that they spill in there, so they're not as hungry when we try to get them to eat. For my results, I found that it seemed like at night they kind of preferred the brighter colors, which would be blue and orange, but I later researched and found out that chicks have a wider range of color than we do, so it doesn't really matter. So the colors I provided for the chicks are kind of dull to them since they see ultraviolet light. We did the same thing each day, twice a day for 5 days, and still didn't really get any super solid results. One thing I did notice was that pink had much lower results than like orange or blue, but orange, blue, yellow, and green were all pretty close to each other. Pink was the only one that they didn't really eat from, and I think that's because my pink was very, very light. Like it was a really light pink and they didn't like it as much. The things I kept track of and took note of along the way was like how many times each chick went to each color within the 15 minutes that I watched them. I only did 15 minutes because that seemed to be like as long as they'd eat for before they were full. Like after 15 minutes they all kind of just stopped and played. That's the end of my video with me and my dog. Stop, Tanner.
It's going.
I know, but you don't even know when to stop the video.
Okay, you did an experiment.
Yes. I'm gonna say I did an experiment to see what colors baby chicks prefer to eat from. In this project, I used these materials. You're gonna walk over and show the paper and
I'm walking
and
over.
the tablespoon. No.
I showed the material.
You're not going to my bloopers if you think this video is funny. Stop.
Science.
Did an experiment to see what color baby chicks prefer to eat off. Stop laughing at. Oh, the first step is to measure 1 tablespoon of food onto each colored piece of.